There is something really profound I found out lately about liquidity and point of interest, and I can assure you that it is definitely going to change how you mark out your point of interest and how you mark out your liquidity. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel, guys. If you're new to this channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I drop any video. And also do not forget to join my Telegram channel. The link is in the description because I'm going to share you free resources on how to become a profitable trader, even if you are a beginner. So click the link in the description to join us right now. Now, something profound I have found on this chart lately is that the more liquidity you have on your way to the POI, the higher the chances of the POI holding. Now, what I mean is this, the more liquidity, when you mark out your point of interest, the more liquidity on the way to the point of interest, the more liquidity you can see, the higher your chances of that POI holding. And let me show you what exactly I mean. Because, of course, before you mark out your point of interest, you are going to know the direction of the market. You definitely want to get a break of structure before you mark out a point of interest. So let's start with this one. We have markets come back to take out this liquidity. Just watch as everything is unfolding. Market came back to take out this liquidity, and then we used our breaker to continue that movement to the downside. And then we had a change of character. There was a real change of character. Remember, I am using 30 minutes time frame here. I am not using 5 minutes so that I don't get confused with anything. And also, you definitely want to check your directional bias on the higher time frame. I don't want us to go through that long process. Hence, I am just showing you this from this 30 minutes time frame. So you can see that at that PO high, we had a change of character and market pulled to the downside consequently. Markets gave us a pull to the downside. Now, how do we mark out our point of interest? First, I'm going to be marking out my sponsored candle, and then I am going to be marking out my breaker. So this is my sponsored candle over here. It was looking as though it was tested. Market showed us as if we already peaked into that PO high, but you can see that we came back to it. I'm going to show you what I mean. Now that is my sponsored candle after that change of character, and this is my breaker block. This is my breaker candle. I'm going to mark it out properly, and you can see that even this movement did not come back into the breaker. Now, how do you know that this sponsored candle is going to hold? Based on the fact that market already gave us this minor push to the upside. There was this minor push to the upside, like a change of character inside our internal structure. So how do you determine that this sponsored candle is going to hold? The first thing you need to know is that this particular high that was here is a weak high, and so it is our liquidity. This is a weak high. Why is it a weak high? Because we do not have this high break a previous high to the left hand side. Does that make any sense? This high did not take any high to the left hand side here before making that continuation movement. So it is very, very possible for market to come back to use it as our inducement, our primary inducement to be precise. I have made a couple of videos about inducement on this channel. You can check them out. Now you can see that this high, we marked it out as our inducement. This high is an inducement. This particular high is an inducement. There were a lot of liquidity build up towards this our sponsored candle. Hence why this sponsored candle can hold. Now you might want to ask yourself, we had a break of structure to the downside. As a trader, you definitely want to be curious at every time. We had a break of structure to the downside. Why did market not just use this movement to continue to the downside? Why didn't we just have that continuation to the downside? The reason is because we do not have enough liquidity to support this particular PO high that we had here. There was not enough liquidity to support that movement. And you can see that when markets got there, we just had a little reaction before we proceeded to the upside. So when markets gave us this change of character, we definitely knew that we were coming to take out this particular inducement. Does it make any sense? So market breaking this high is just telling us that market wants to take more inducement or more liquidity in the market. There was not enough liquidity. You can see that there was no high visibly created inside this particular range that would have supported this move to the downside. So market had to come back as high as coming into our sponsored candle. Same thing happened here. We had a break of structure to the downside, and of course a lot of people would have just checked the market to move to the upside based on where it reacted from here. But what I saw here was that we had the break of structure to the downside, and there was enough liquidity for market to come back in. To see those liquidity, let me mark them out. This is a liquidity here. This is another liquidity. So me marking out this point of interest has higher chances of this point of interest holding, based on the fact that we had this high as liquidity. We had it created inside. We had this high created inside the range. So there was enough liquidity market created before, after we had the creation of this POI. Market created enough liquidity that would come back to absorb. And what happened here? We had the break of this liquidity. We had market come back to take this liquidity. We could not get into that point of interest. There was no strength to get back into that point of interest, based on the fact that we already took out the liquidity. It was expecting it to come back to take. And after the liquidity was taken, we had that impulse to the downside. I also took a trade here on this particular time frame. Also, we had a break of structure to the downside. I marked out a POI inside this structure. I marked out a POI, this particular POI, because it was a strong internal high, this particular structure here. So I'm going to show you on 15-minute time frame on the kind of liquidity market created before we got into that point of interest. So this is a major for me, right? This is a major because you can see that it took out, it is a major high because it took out a previous high to the left hand side. So we had a creation of, see, this liquidity is here, this liquidity is here. So there was high chances of markets using this point of interest to continue to the downside, because there was enough liquidity created before we got to that point of interest. And that is exactly how you are expected to mark out your point of interest. When market does not give you enough liquidity to support a particular POI, do not mark out the POI, because most often 80% of the time market is going to take out that POI as the main liquidity. Do you understand now? Do you have any question? Drop it in the comments and I'm going to be waiting to answer your question. I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.